everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. I'm Brian Wright, and I am joined by Maria Vasquez, and we're going to be talking about Week 7. So we're getting into the latter portion of the season, and today was actually the debut of the AIA PowerPoint rankings, so getting a little bit better picture of how the playoffs might be looking. And our game of the week for Week 7 is going to be Casa Grande Union going on the road to Vista Grande, so just going across town. And these two teams have had very different seasons to this point. Casa Grande is off to a nice start. They're 3-2, while Vista Grande is winless at 0-6. So, Maria, when you take a look at this matchup, what stands out to you?
Well, for CG Union, it's been the same guy all season. It's quarterback Angel Flores. He already has over 1,000 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And that's pretty big for just a sophomore.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the thing about Casa Grande is that they've got a balanced offense as well, is that, they really have 3 running backs, and first of all, Angel Flores is also leading the team in rushing, but they also have 3 running backs who have done a nice job for them, and that's RJ Keaton, DJ Johnson, and Caden Robbins. And so those guys can all get it done on the ground. And Union has done a really nice job on defense so far, just allowing 14.8 points per game, and they are anchored by Jake Thomas in the middle at linebacker. He's leading the team with 45 tackles, and they have a really strong secondary. You have Damian Allen and Jameer Heyman at corner, 2 good cover guys, and then you have Gregory Velasquez at safety, and he's already got a couple interceptions. Maria, when you look at the Spartans, obviously they've struggled to this point, but what do you think is going to be key for them against the Cougars?
Well, lately the things that has been working for the Spartans is their passing game with quarterback Donald Altaffer. Last week he was 23 of 45 for 278 yards and one touchdown. I think if he can keep his momentum going, the Spartans should be able to possibly add some points on the scoreboard.
I think the biggest issue for Vista Grande recently, they've started to move the ball better, but it's been their red zone efficiency. They've really struggled once they've gotten inside the 20, where they have not been able to finish drives. And that's going to be key against Casa Grande to try to get that, to try to improve on that. And also, they really just haven't had much of a running game at all this year. As Maria mentioned, Donald Altaffer has done a nice job without really the support of a running game, and had his best game last week against Combs. And they do have wide receiver Jace Atkins had a breakout game last week as well, had his best game of the year with 11 catches for 151 yards. So they should be able to throw the ball a little bit, but they really are going to need a run game in order to compete with Casa Grande. Maria, any final thoughts on this matchup?
You touched upon it. I think CG Union's defense, that's going to be a difference maker in this game.
Okay, that does it for our breakdown on the game of the week, and enjoy the game on Friday night. Okay, let's talk about our Week 7 picks. Now, on the season, Maria is 37-13, and I am just a tad behind at 38-14. So let's get to our Week 7 picks, and we're going to start with the game of the week, which is Casa Grande Union at Vista Grande. And since I am covering that game, I do not have a pick.
And I will be taking CG Union. Vista Grande is still looking for their first win of the season. However, I don't think they're going to get it against the Cougars and Angel Flores and the defense that the Cougars have. Next, we have Coolidge traveling to Florence in another rivalry game. And Florence has really been struggling lately. And although this game is typically where they miraculously pull off the win, I don't think that's going to happen this year.
I don't see it either. And, what was surprising to me after they lost a couple of one-point games, Florence lost a couple of one-point games. They went on the road to Safford last week, and, I expected them to put up a good fight in that game, and they lost 40-0. And so I just don't have confidence right now in Florence getting a victory. I mean, I know that they'll be up for Coolidge because these two teams are long-standing rivals, but I just don't think they have enough to keep up with quarterback Valentine Rodriguez and the Bears. So I'm going to take Coolidge. Next, we have Santa Cruz going on the road to Phoenix Christian, and Santa Cruz is coming off easily the best win for a Pinal County team last week. Arguably one of the best, or maybe the best win that a Pinal County team's had all year. They just beat Thatcher last week, the 3-time defending state champions. However, Phoenix Christian is another really strong team in 2A. And when I look at this matchup, Santa Cruz going on the road, they're going to have to stop running back Man Freeman for Phoenix Christian. And he's already got 881 yards and 14 touchdowns. Phoenix Christian is a pretty explosive team, so I think Phoenix Christian wins this game in a close contest.
And as a Santa Cruz reporter, I do not get a pick in this game. Next, we have Maricopa hosting Gilbert Campo Verde. And the power rankings came out today, and Campo Verde is one of the top 8 teams in the Open Division. And with that being said, Maricopa is going to have their hands full this time around.
And Maricopa, speaking of disappointing losses, Florence had that blowout loss last week, and so did Maricopa. Now, Maricopa played a great Gilbert Higley team last week, but I did expect the score to be a little bit closer than 59-0. So the Rams are really going to have to step it up against Campo Verde, another very good team. And when I look at Campo Verde, they're only allowing 6.7 points a game on defense. They have a really great defense. They've already racked up 21 sacks this year. And they also have a running back, Caden Calloway, who has over 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. So it's a tall order for the Rams, and I'm going to take Campo Verde. Next, we have ALA Ironwood going on the road to Santan Foothills. And Santan Foothills had a really good opportunity to win game number 2 on the season last week against Sarita. However, a comeback bid fell just short when they could not convert on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game, and running back Amari Bailey was really bottled up in that game for just 40 yards on 22 carries. However, Ironwood has really struggled this year. They played a brutal schedule early. They've done a little bit better against some teams that weren't as strong recently, but I like Amari Bailey to get back on track, and I like the SaberCats in this matchup.
And I am actually going to take ALA Ironwood. I think this is going to be the game where they get their first win of the year. For me, Santan Foothills offense is just a little all over the place, and I need a little more consistency from them. And I am taking the Warriors. Next, we have Poston Butte hosting Peoria, and I'm going to go with the Broncos on this one. I think that Zion Burns and Gavin Lloyd, they have a little more consistency than Peoria's offense.
And I'm going to take Peoria in this game. I like Zion Burns is going to get his. I mean, he's just a really good player, and he's been doing that all year. And Gavin Lloyd, after a couple of mediocre games early in the season, played much better in his following 2 games until running into a very good Desert Edge team. So I think that he's making some progress. However, I look at Peoria, and they have a very good defense. Watch out for Gabriel Ocampo, their defensive end. He already has 7.5 sacks. And they have running back Cameron Mack, who already has 12 touchdowns. So I'm going to take Peoria. Next, we have Apache Junction going on the road to Phoenix, Washington. And AJ came off the bye last week and had a nice, really blowout win over Shadow Mountain. Not a very good team, but AJ got the job done. Gibson Lamangelo threw for 238 yards, rushed for 79 yards, had 3 total touchdowns. And Washington's not a great team, so I expect the Prospectors to be able to take care of business here.
I am also going with AJ. I mean, who really needs a deep running game when you have a defense like the Prospectors do? They already have 4 guys with 3 or more sacks on the season, and Gibson Lamangelo, this guy can pretty much do it all for AJ, and going up against Phoenix, Washington, I think it's going to be an easy one for the Prospectors. Lastly, we have Combs traveling to El Mirage Dysart, and Combs is in a similar situation as AJ. They're going up against a not-so-talented team, you could say, in Dysart, and I think Trey Buck and Joey Jensen, they're going to have another big game like they did last week.
Yeah, I think Maria was putting it kindly when she said not so good of a team. Dysart's terrible. So Combs went out last week, and they had a really big second half against Vista Grande with the aforementioned Trey Buck and Joey Jensen both having big games. And I expect more of the same against against Dysart on Friday, and the Combs offense really has looked good. Against unless maybe they're going up against some of the really good defenses. This is a team that has some big potential on offense, so I'm going to take the Coyotes. That does it for our picks. Remember to visit PinalCentral.com for all of your Pinal County football action, and we will see you next week.